Today, it would be interesting to talk about the phenomenon of polarity related to consciousness. It is clear that humanity has very little, if any, awareness that it has a tendency to polarize the way it looks at life. Could you tell us where does this tendency to polarize comes from? And what are the implications of this polarized vision of reality in our everyday life?
Yes. For a man to polarize or to look at life in a polarized way is a very old tendency. It started, the consciousness, psychological consciousness started because of polarity. In other words, as soon as a being was able to differentiate good from evil, bad from good, etc., it started to accumulate a memory of polarization. In other words, extremes. So man developed his psychological consciousness through those extremes. But it is a very primitive consciousness, actually. But man still clings to those ways of looking at life, because it's engraved in his memory, and he has no consciousness, or almost none, of that reality, of the power of words, in other words. So each time he uses polarized words, that means he has a concept that is polarized. He is subjected to a concept which is polarized. And that's the problem. And that's what maintains him in his what we call involutive consciousness, or psychological consciousness. In other words, he can only see a small portion of reality. And he needs to evolve to a bigger or a wider view of reality. And for that, he will have to depolarize his mind. Otherwise, he's going to keep on nourishing his psychological consciousness or involutive consciousness. And he will stay, he won't evolve, he will stay in that consciousness. And he will sink into that consciousness too, as we can see all over the planet right now, how things are getting more and more polarized. And it will happen more and more that extremes, polarized extremes, will clash together. The reason why, in a sense, is for a man to become conscious of the dangers of polarity and the primitive aspect of polarity. But he has to suffer in consequence.